I woke up that morning convinced I'd spend the rest of my life in silk sheets and whispered promises. But by midnight, I was plotting how to burn it all down with my fiancé's own family as the kindling. The ring on my finger felt like a noose when I realized the man I loved had buried his sins inside me, letting me rot in prison for a crime that was his blood on my hands. And the worst part? I didn't even know it until his mother spilled the truth over a glass of vintage scotch. Her voice a venomous hiss that stripped away every illusion I'd clung to like a drowning woman. It started like any other humid Atlanta evening in late summer. The kind where the air clings to your skin like regret. I'd flown in from New York 2 days earlier, trading the concrete jungle for the manicured lawns of Buckhead, where old money hid its skeletons behind white-columned facades and wrought-iron gates. My name's Demi Harper. Or, at least that's what it used to be before everything went to hell. Back then, I was the wide-eyed girl from a trailer park in rural Georgia who'd clawed her way into a marketing gig at a boutique firm, only to catch the eye of Alexander, Alex, Harrington III, the golden boy of Harrington Enterprises, a sprawling conglomerate that owned half the Southeast's real estate and whispered rumors of dirtier dealings in offshore accounts. We met at a charity gala 3 years prior. Me in a borrowed dress that pinched at the seams. Him in a tux that screamed generational wealth. He was charm incarnate, broad shoulders, that easy southern drawl that could melt steel, and eyes like polished oak that promised forever. "You're not like the others, Demi," he'd say, tracing my collarbone with a finger that smelled of sandalwood cologne. "You're real." I fell hard, convinced I'd finally escaped the ghost of my junkie mom and the parade of absent dads. By last spring, he was down on one knee in the Hamptons, the ocean crashing like applause. And I said yes without a second thought. The engagement party was set for tomorrow, 200 guests.
Black tie.
At the family estate on Peachtree Road. It was supposed to be the pinnacle, the fairy tale etched in gold. But that night, as the caterers buzzed like hornets in the kitchen and Alex nursed a bourbon on the veranda, I slipped upstairs to fetch the heirloom necklace his mother insisted I wear. Evelyn Harrington was a steel magnolia if there ever was one. Porcelain skin stretched tight over cheekbones that could cut glass, hair coiffed in a flawless bob, and a smile that hid arsenic. She'd always treated me like a charming pet project, tolerable, but not quite family. "Darling, you'll look divine in the pearls," she'd cooed earlier, her manicured nails grazing my wrist. I nodded, playing the part, but something in her eyes always set my teeth on edge, like she was appraising livestock. The master suite was at the end of the east wing, a cavernous space with silk drapes and a four-poster bed that swallowed you whole. I was rummaging through Evelyn's vanity when I heard voices, low,
Urgent.
filtering through the adjoining sitting room door. Left ajar, just a crack. At first, I thought it was the help gossiping, but then her voice sliced through Evelyn's, sharp as a stiletto. "And if that little tramp figures it out, we're done." "Alex, you swore the switch was clean." My blood turned to ice.
Switch.
I pressed closer, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The door creaked faintly under my palm, but I held still, breath shallow. Alex's reply was muffled, defensive. "Mother, it's been 8 years. Demi's buried it, hell. She doesn't even remember half of it." The docs said the trauma wiped her slate clean.
Docs?
Trauma? My mind reeled. 8 years ago, I'd been 22, fresh out of community college, waitressing at a dive bar off I-85. A car accident, fiery, they said, had landed me in a coma for weeks. I'd woken up piecing together fragments, shattered glass, screeching tires, and a vague sense of violation, like someone had rifled through my soul while I slept. The doctors called it retrograde amnesia. I called it a fresh start. But Alex, we'd only known each other 3 years.
How the fuck did he know about that?
Evelyn's laugh was a dry rattle, devoid of mirth. Amnesia is a gift, darling, but it's not foolproof. We pinned the whole mess on her, your father's indiscretions, the offshore slush fund, that poor intern who disappeared after she threatened to talk. Demi was the perfect patsy, no family, no connections, just a nobody with a juvie record for shoplifting candy at 16. We greased the right palms, made sure the accident looked like her fault.
Dr.
Kessler's little procedure ensured she'd wake up. Compliant. A new face, a new name etched into her subconscious. But if she starts digging, I staggered back, the necklace slipping from my fingers to clatter on the Persian rug.
Procedure?
New face. The room spun, bile rising in my throat. Flashes hit me then. Unbidden, not memories, but echoes. A sterile room, masked faces hovering, the burn of needles in my veins. I'd always dismissed the scars on my jawline as crash debris.
But now. God.
The headlines from back then flooded back. Heiress imposter scandal rocks Harrington Empire.
No.
That couldn't be. I'd been Demi Harper my whole life. Or had I? I bolted down the hall, past gilt-framed portraits of Harrington ancestors glowering like judges, and locked myself in the guest bath. The mirror, antique, merciless, reflected a woman I suddenly didn't recognize. High cheekbones that weren't mine, eyes a shade too blue, lips fuller than I remembered from Polaroids of my mom. 8 years ago, before the accident, I'd been mousy, freckled, with a gap-toothed smile and hair that frizzed in the humidity. Now, polished,
poised,
the kind of beauty that turned heads at galas. Alex had always joked about my glow-up, but it wasn't a joke. It was a goddamn mask. My hands shook as I yanked open the medicine cabinet, rifling through pill bottles and creams until I found it, a faded prescription label.
Dr.
Elias Kessler. Experimental Neurology. Post-traumatic identity realignment therapy. Below it, scribbled in Evelyn's looping script, Phase 2, suppress original engrams. Induce loyalty imprint to Subject H. Subject H. Alex Harrington. I sank to the tile floor, the cold seeping into my bones. They'd stolen me. Not just my life, but my body, my face, my fucking self. 8 years ago, I wasn't Demi Harper the fiancé. I was someone else. A disposable thread in their web. The intern? That was me. I'd stumbled onto the Harringtons' dirty laundry, Senator Harrington's, Alex's father, embezzling from a pack, funneling bribes through fake charities. And when I threatened to blow the whistle, they ran me off the road. But they didn't kill me. No, that would be too clean. They rebuilt me. Plastic surgery, hypnotherapy, drugs to rewrite my neural pathways. They turned me into their perfect puppet, amnesia as the cherry on top. And Alex? He'd fallen for the new me. Or so he thought. But it was all a lie, layered like the family's fortune. By the time I stumbled downstairs, the house was alive with pre-party chaos, florists arranging orchids that cost more than my old rent, a string quartet tuning up in the solarium. Alex spotted me from across the foyer, his smile radiant as he crossed the marble floor in 3 strides. There you are, Gorgeous. Mom said you were grabbing the pearls. Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I forced a laugh. The sound brittle in my ears. Just nerves.
Babe.
Big night tomorrow. I let him pull me into his arms. His cologne wrapping around me like a shroud. Up close. He was still devastating, jaw carved from marble. That dimple flashing when he grinned.
But now.
Every touch felt like acid. This man, this empire, they'd erase me to save themselves. And tomorrow, in front of Atlanta's elite, I'd be paraded as the blushing bride-to-be, sealing the illusion. That night, I couldn't sleep. Alex snored softly beside me in the guest wing, oblivious, while I lay staring at the canopy, plotting. Revenge wasn't a word I'd ever owned before. It was for movie villains, not girls like me. But as the clock ticked past 2 a.m., it rooted in me like kudzu, choking out fear. They took everything, my name, my face, my truth. I'd make them pay, piece by bloody piece. Not with guns or screams, that was too quick, too merciful. No, I'd dismantle them from the inside, using their own weapons, secrets, smiles, and the sharp edge of Southern politeness. First light brought resolve. I slipped out before dawn, driving my rented BMW, Alex's gift, to a dingy internet cafe in Midtown, the kind with flickering fluorescents and the stink of burnt coffee. Anonymity was key. Their reach was long, but not everywhere. I started digging, cross-referencing Kessler's name with Harrington News clips from 2017. Buried in a paywalled archive, Harrington Ayre's fiancée in fatal crash. Questions linger over intern's disappearance. The intern's name? Delia Hart. Close enough to Demi to blur lines. No photo. Just a grainy employee badge scan, freckles, gap teeth, frizzy hair.
Me.
Or the ghost of me. Deeper dives revealed the rot. The senator's PAC had funneled millions into dummy core, tied to Russian oligarchs and opioid pushers flooding Georgia streets. The intern Delia had emailed tips to a local reporter, then vanished after a hit-and-run that left her comatose. The family donated generously to the hospital, hushed the cops with campaign cash. And Kessler? A disgraced neurosurgeon, specializing in experimental trauma recovery, funded by a Harrington shell company. His procedure, a cocktail of psychedelics, hypnosis, and microimplants to reprogram identity. Black market shit. Whispered in dark web forums as ghosting, erasing a person's past to create a compliant vessel. By noon, I had a burner phone and a contact, the reporter, Marty Klein, now a washed-up blogger indicator. He met me at a Waffle House off the interstate, nursing black coffee and skepticism. Delia Hart?
Kid.
That story's colder than yesterday's grits. Harrington's own half this town, cops, judges, the works. I slid him a USB drive with my findings. They owe me too. Look closer. The accident wasn't random. And I'm not asking for a front-page splash.
Just.
Verification. Proof I'm not crazy. Marty's eyes narrowed, but he pocketed it. If this is real, you're poking a hornet's nest. These folks don't forgive. Good, I said, stirring sugar into my hash browns. I don't want forgiveness. I want fire. Back at the estate, the party prep ramped up like a fever dream. Evelyn flitted about in a Chanel sheath, barking orders at the event planner, her gaze lingering on me a beat too long. Demi,
Dear.
You seem distant. Everything all right with the seating chart? Perfect. Evelyn. Just excited. I smiled, teeth bared, and excused myself to the library, a mahogany tomb of leather-bound lies. There, amid the scent of aged paper, I found the family Bible, hollowed out like their souls, hiding a ledger. Jackpot. Entries in Alex's scrawl. Dates aligning with my recovery. Payments to Kessler. Bribes to DA's office. Even a note. Demi-integration. 92% success. Monitor for regressions. Regression. That's what they called the nightmares I'd chalked up to stress. The flashes of a different life. A barstool vigil for a mom who OD'd. The sting of eviction notices. They drugged those away. Molded me into their ideal daughter-in-law. Ambitious but not threatening. Beautiful but not bold. Alex's perfect match. That evening, as guests trickled in for the rehearsal dinner, old money from Savannah, politicos from D.C., I played my role. Laughed at toasts, clinked glasses with Evelyn's DAR cronies, let Alex's hand rest possessive on my waist. But inside, I was a live wire. Marty texted at 8:47 p.m. Holy shit. It's real. Got a source in Kessler's old clinic, off the record. But he confirms the ghosting. You're a walking miracle. Or a Frankenstein. What's your play? My play? Checkmate. I cornered Evelyn in the powder room during dessert, the air thick with perfume and pretense. We need to talk, I said, locking the door. Her reflection arched a brow in the mirror, lipstick poised. Darling, this isn't the time.
Oh.
It's exactly the time. I pulled out my phone. Marty's prelim doc open, Kessler's confession transcript. Redacted, but damning. Delia Hart. Ring any bells? Or should I say, the girl you turned into me? Her poise cracked. Just a flicker, eyes widening. Powder compact clattering to the sink. What nonsense is this? You're hysterical. Demi. Alex. Alex is next. I stepped closer. Voice low. Venomous. You stole my life. Erase me to cover your husband's graft. Your son's inheritance. But here's the thing. Puppets cut strings eventually. And when I pull this thread, pack audits, Kessler's files, the works, your empire crumbles. Starting with tomorrow's party. She recovered fast. That magnolia spine straightening. You think you can threaten us? You're nothing without us. A fabricated fraud. One call to our lawyers. And you're back in that coma. Permanently. I laughed. Cold and unfamiliar. Try it. But first, confess. To Alex. Tonight. Or I leak everything to the AJC by dawn. She lunged then, nails raking my arm, not to kill, but to silence. A desperate grasp at control. I shoved her back. Harder than intended, her head cracked against the marble vanity. Eyes fluttering shut as she slumped. Panic surged. Hot and primal. Was she breathing? Shallow.
Yes. Alive.
But the door rattled, guests murmuring outside. I straightened my dress, smeared a smile on, and slipped out. Evelyn's had too much champagne, helping her to bed.
Nods.
Sympathetic clucks. Alex shot me a worried glance, but I waved it off.
Inside.
The hook sank deeper. I'd crossed a line, but it felt like justice. The rest of the night blurred, stilted goodbyes. Alex's arm around me as we waved from the portico. In bed, he murmured, You're my rock. Demi. Tomorrow, we start forever. Forever. The word tasted like ash. Dawn broke sticky and unforgiving. The Georgia sun already plotting heatstroke as I dressed for the engagement party. Alex was in the shower, humming some classic rock tune Springsteen. Always Springsteen, like the world wasn't a powder keg with my finger on the fuse. I stared at the ring again. That 2-carat solitaire mocking me from the nightstand. It wasn't just a symbol anymore, it was a shackle, forged in lies and laundered money. Last night's confrontation with Evelyn replayed in loops, her crumple, the thud, the way her pulse fluttered under my fingers when I checked. Self-defense. I'd tell myself. She attacked first. But doubt gnawed. Had I wanted her to fall? A knock shattered the haze. Housekeeper with coffee. Bloskas my muet. Mrs. Harrington sends her regrets.
Miss.
She's under the weather, asked to skip the brunch. Mrs. Harrington. The slip burned. I nodded, feigning concern, and texted Marty, Evelyn knows. Stalled her. Need leverage. Anything on Alex's direct involvement? His reply pinged fast, digging. Found emails. Alex greenlit the procedure. Thought it was saving you. Kid gloves on the family. But he's neck deep. Be careful. They're circling wagons. Saving me. The irony curdled. Alex emerged towel-clad, droplets tracing the V of his chest, oblivious to the storm in my eyes. Mom okay? She sounded off last night. Probably just the excitement. I lied, pulling him close for a kiss that tasted like betrayal. His hands roamed, familiar, igniting old sparks despite the rage. For a split second, I wondered, was any of it real? The late-night drives to Tybee Island, whispering dreams under star-pricked skies. Or was I just a well-crafted echo? Programmed to love him, we descended to the brunch terrace, where mimosas flowed and the air buzzed with Atlanta's A-list, tech bros from midtown startups, socialites in Lilly Pulitzer prints, a smattering of politicians with veneers brighter than their consciences. Alex's uncle, the state rep, clapped him on the back.
Boy.
You're locking down the future, Harrington through and through. I smiled, nodding, but my mind mapped exits, alibis. Evelyn's absence loomed like a ghost. Whispers rippled, migraine. They said. I knew better. By noon, the estate transformed into a spectacle, white tents billowing on emerald lawns, a jazz trio crooning Ellington under the oaks, caterers ferrying past apps of foie gras and figs. 200 souls in linen and pearls, toasting to our bliss. Alex was in his element, schmoozing donors, his laugh booming like cannon fire. I played the blushing bride, air-kissing cheeks, dodging questions about wedding dates with vague summers. But every glance at a mirror, a polished silver tray, a guest's compact, reflected the stranger, Delia peeking through the cracks, freckles faint under concealer, eyes hardening with purpose. Marty's next drop came mid-cocktail hour, disguised as a spam email on my burner, attachments. Heavy. Alex's inbox hacks. God bless disgruntled IT guys. Emails from 2017. Father's exposure risk critical. Intern heart volatile. Procedure viable? A reply from Evelyn. Kessler confirms 80% efficacy. Cost, $2M. Worth every penny to protect legacy. Another, post-op, subject responsive. Imprinting to you progressing. She's yours now.
Alex.
Mold her well. Mold her.
Like clay?
like a weapon. Tears pricked, hot and furious, but I blinked them back. No breakdowns, not today. This was my arena now. Evelyn appeared then, fashionably late, gliding in on a wave of Chanel No. 5 and feigned frailty. Her temple bore a faint bruise, artfully concealed, but our eyes met across the tent, predator to predator. She raised a flute in mock salute, lips curling. Game on. Alex pulled me aside near the gazebo, concern etching his brow. Babe, you've been off all day. Talk to me. I searched his face. That boyish vulnerability I'd once mistaken for depth. Just remembering things. Old stuff. The accident. His grip tightened, almost imperceptibly. That's in the past. Demi. We moved on. You're here. With me. That's what matters. Moved on. The euphemism for murder. What if the past isn't done with us? I pressed.
Testing.
What if someone dug it up? He laughed. Too quick. Hypotheticals are for lawyers. Tonight's about us. But his eyes darted to Evelyn, to the security detail blending into the valets. Paranoia or protection? As the sun dipped, casting long shadows over the azaleas. Speeches kicked off. Alex's toast first, poetic drivel about soulmates and legacies, met with applause like thunder. My turn. I stood, glass in hand, the crowd blurring into a sea of privilege. Heart pounding, I began, to Alex, who saved me from myself. Murmurs of approval. Then, pivot, and to the family that rebuilt me, brick by bloody brick. Silence. A few chuckles, mistaking it for wit. Evelyn's face paled. I continued, voice steady as a scalpel. You see, I wasn't always this polished version. 8 years ago, I was someone else, Delia Hart, an intern who saw too much. A girl you ran off the road, then resurrected as your perfect pawn. Gasps rippled. Alex froze mid-sip. Demi, what the? But I was rolling. Burner phone aloft, projecting Marty's doc onto the tent's smart screen via a hacked AV feed, courtesy of a quick Bluetooth jailbreak. Headlines blared. Harrington cover-up, intern ghosted in coma conspiracy. Kessler's audio confession crackled. They paid me to erase her. New face. New memories. She's not the same woman. Chaos erupted. Guests surged, some fleeing. Phones out. Liv tweeting the meltdown. Politicos bolted for exits. Aunties clutched pearls like crucifixes. Evelyn shrieked.
Lies.
She's deranged, but the evidence mounted. Pixels damning as DNA. Alex lunged for me. Face twisted, not in love, but ownership. Stop this. You're ruining everything. Everything. I shoved him back. The ring flying off into the grass like a discarded vow. You ruined me first. Drugged me. Reprogrammed me. All to bury your daddy's sins. I loved you, Alex. The you I thought was real. But you're just a cog in their machine. Security swarmed, Harrington muscle. Not rent-a-cops gripping my arms. Evelyn hovered, hissing,
Take her. Now.
But Marty had planned for this. Sirens wailed distant. AJC vans screeching up the drive. Leaks had summoned the press. Badges flashing. MS. Harper. Statement. I wrenched free. Voice carrying over the din. Not Harper. Hart. And this family's empire? Built on ghosts. Alex's face crumpled, shock. Then something darker. Calculation.
Demi. Please.
We can fix this. Fix me? I spat. Like you fixed Delia? Cops hauled Evelyn away first. Obstruction. They barked, her curses echoing like banshees. Alex stood amid the wreckage, guests scattering like roaches, his kingdom fracturing. For a heartbeat, pity flickered. He wasn't the mastermind, just the heir, groomed in poison ivy. But pity dies fast in revenge's fire. As they cuffed me, not for assault, but questioning, I met his eyes one last. Goodbye, Alex. Enjoy the fall. They say the mighty fall hardest. By midnight, headlines screamed nationwide. Harrington dynasty implodes. Fiancé reveals identity theft horror. Pack frozen. Senator resigning in disgrace. Kessler spilling to feds for immunity. Alex? Holed up in a midtown penthouse. Lawyered to the gills. But whispers of indictments swirled like smoke.
Me?
Released by dawn. Marty's source vouching my sanity. Delia Hart. Reborn, freckles emerging under laser reversal consults. Memories trickling back in therapy sessions that tasted like vindication. The bruises on my arm from Evelyn's nails? Exhibit A in the civil suit I'd file come Monday. But victory's a hollow crown. Nights. I dream of the old me, the bar lights, Mom's ghost, the whistle I never blew. Did I win? Or just trade one cage for another? 3 months post-meltdown. Atlanta felt like a stranger's skin, too tight, chafing with memories I couldn't shed. The Harrington estate? Auctioned off to some Silicon Valley vulture flipping it into a co-working crypt. Alex's face plastered every feed, disheveled in court. That dimple gone slack. Pleading not guilty to conspiracy charges. Evelyn? Out on bail. But her social orbit had shriveled to echo chamber. The DAR blackballed her faster than you can say bloodline. And me? Delia Hart. Officially, after DNA swabs and psych evals confirmed the farce. The press dubbed me the Ghost Bride, a tabloid crown I wore with barbed wire. Marty became my anchor, gruff, coffee-stained, with a divorcee's cynicism that grounded my vertigo. We holed up in his Decatur bungalow, poring over depositions like scripture. You're a hurricane, kid, he'd grunt over takeout lo mein. But hurricanes leave wreckage. You ready for the blowback? Blowback came swift. Anonymous tips to my inbox. Run. Ghost girl. We know where you sleep. Drive-bys at dawn. Tires crunching gravel outside my no-tell motel. The feds offered witness protection. New name. New state. But anonymity was their weapon once. I'd wield my own now. The trial loomed like storm clouds over the Fulton County Courthouse. A brutalist slab of justice doling out verdicts like stale bread. Opening statements. The DA, a bulldog named Ramirez, painted the Harringtons as puppeteers in a web of corruption, embezzlement, witness tampering, even human experimentation under RICO umbrellas. My testimony was the linchpin, the stand, oak and unyielding, spotlights hot as interrogation lamps. I took the oath with steady hands, facing the gallery, reporters scribbling, Alex's cousins glaring daggers. Evelyn sat front row, sallow under fluorescent buzz. Her lawyer a silver fox from D.C., whispering alibis. Alex avoided my gaze, shackled but suited, looking every inch the fallen prince. MS. Hart, Ramirez began, voice gravel rough. Walk us through the night of the engagement party. I did. Unflinching, The eavesdrop. The mirror's betrayal. Evelyn's slump in the powder room. Gasps from the jury, housewives and truckers. Faces a mix of horror and morbid thrill. Then the core. They didn't just cover up a crime. They committed one on me. Erased Delia to birth Demi. All to shield their greed. Cross-exam was a circus. Evelyn's shark. Harlan Voss. Circled like a barracuda. MS. Hart, or should I say Harper, you claim this procedure happened without consent. Yet you thrived.
Career.
Fiancé. Luxury. Sounds like ingratitude, not victimhood. Ingratitude. The word landed like a slap. Thrived? I leaned forward. Mic crackling. You call identity theft thriving? They stole my face. My memories. Turned me into a step-4 doll for their son. That's not a gift, Mr.
Voss.
That's a cage. The jury shifted. A woman in the back row nodded. Subtle but seismic. Alex finally looked up then. Eyes pleading, forgive me. They begged. I didn't. But the twist gut-punched midweek. Voss called a surprise witness. Dr. Kessler himself. Whisker-thin and twitchy. Immunity deal gleaming like a noose. The procedure, he droned, charts projected like autopsy slides, was consensual. MS. Hart. Delia signed waivers post-accident. She was suicidal, unstable. The Harringtons offered salvation. Waivers? My waiver? Ramirez objected. But the judge, a grizzled vet with a drawl like molasses, overruled. Kessler produced docs. My signature. Loopy and familiar. Dated day 3 of coma? Forgery screamed, but ink analysis pending. Adjournment hit like whiplash. In the hall, Marty cornered me. It's bullshit. Kessler's their Hail Mary. But juries love redemption arcs. Poor girl saved from herself.
Saved.
Again. I laughed.
Hollow.
Or maybe he's right. What if the old me was broken? Mom's shadow. Dead-end jobs. Maybe I begged for the reset. Don't, Marty snapped. That's the gaslighting talking. Fight it. Fight I did. That night, holed in a safe house up in Roswell, Fed's courtesy, I pored over Kessler's file. Buried in metadata, timestamps glitchy. Signatures scanned from an old DMV photo. Forgery confirmed, but too late for headlines. Public opinion splintered. Ghost bride trending with Save Demi countertags. Forums ablaze. She asked for it, trolls sneered. Stockholm Syndrome chic, quipped a podcaster. Controversy crackled. Did victimhood expire if you benefited? Alex's turn on the stand was poetry in poison. Poised. Penitent. He spun contrition. I loved her, both versions. Father pushed the cover up. I just followed. The procedure? I thought it healed her. Tears. Artful. The gallery ate it up. A juror dabbed her eyes. Voss milked it. And the engagement? Genuine. God. Yes. Alex's gaze locked on me.
Raw. Demi Delia chose me.
Every day.
Chose.
The word festered. Had I? In stolen moments. Yes, the laughter. The sex like wildfire. Dreams of a life unscarred. But choice under duress is illusion. My redirect was brutal. Ramirez fed me the metadata printout. Mr. Harrington, you authorized $2 million for this healing. Yet emails show you knew the risks. Permanent dissociation. Identity loss. Why not therapy? Why not truth? He faltered. Family legacy. Pressure. Or self-preservation? I interjected. Unbidden, contempt of court be damned. The judge banged gavel. But damage stuck. Evelyn's testimony was the volcano. She took the stand like a queen to execution. Chin high, voice ice. Delia Hart was a threat, a gold-digging opportunist sniffing our scraps. The accident? Tragic coincidence. The procedure? Mercy. She woke grateful. Built a life. This vendetta? Sour grapes. Ramirez hammered. Mercy? Or erasure? You monitored her imprinting like a lab rat. Protection, she snapped. From herself. The courtroom held breath. Then, Voss. And the bruise on your head. Mrs. Harrington? From the party. Evelyn's eyes flicked to me, daggers. She attacked me. Unhinged. Lie. But planted doubt. Was I the villain now? Avenger or abuser? Closing arguments framed the schism. Ramirez, this is about power, stealing a woman's soul to salve their sins. Voss, a family in crisis, making hard choices for love. Jury out 4 days. Agony. I paced Marty's porch. Chain-smoking camels I'd sworn off. Rain lashing like accusations. What if they acquit? I whispered. Then we appeal. But kid, this ain't just law. It's war. Verdict dropped on a Friday. Courthouse packed like a prize fight. Guilty, conspiracy, tampering, Evelyn and Alex. 10 years apiece. Eligible parole in 5. Senator? Already suicided in his cell. Heart attack, the obit lie. Cheers erupted. I stood numb. Confetti of flashbulbs blinding. Outside. Reporters swarmed. Delia. Justice served. I pushed through. Marty's arm steady. Justice? It's a bandage on a guillotine wound. That night. Alone in a sterile apartment. Feds footing the bill. I uncorked champagne. Toasting ghosts. Victory. Pyrrhic. The old me clawed back. Nightmares of bars and betrayals. But laced with Demi's fire, ambition. The thrill of a well-aimed strike. Hybrid now. Scarred but sharp. But the real gut twist? A letter. Slipped under door by Dawn Courier. Alex's scrawl, I never stopped loving you. The real you. Whoever that is. Forgive? No. Understand? Maybe. The implants. They worked too well. I fell for the echo. But it was you all along. Burn this. A. Understand. The audacity. I held the flame to it, watching curls of smoke rise like questions. Love and lies. Was it poison or potion? Months blurred into reconstruction. Book deal offers, I took one. Voice for the voiceless. Therapy unpacking the layers. Faint freckles blooming under sun. Atlanta exhaled. Scandal fading to footnote. But me? I thrived. Weaponized, consulting for DAs on coercion cases. A watchdog with teeth. Yet, doubt lingered. A shadow at feasts. Had I avenged? Or just avenged myself into oblivion? The line blurred. Controversy, my constant companion. A year after the verdict, I'd carved a niche in the gray. Delia Hart. Anti-corruption crusader. Keynoting at TEDx knockoffs in Asheville and Austin. My scar-flecked jaw a badge of battles won. The book, Ghosted, a memoir of stolen selves, hit NYT lists. Its proceeds funding scholarships for abused whistleblowers. Marty cooed like a proud uncle. but warned. Fame's a fickle bitch. One slip, and they feast. Slips? I dodged them. Burner for old contacts. Blinds drawn against paparazzi drones. But Atlanta's vines clung at a fundraiser for trafficking survivors. Who should sidle up but Harlan Voss, Evelyn's ex-shark, now peddling memoirs of his own. MS. Heart, he drawled. Scotch neat in fist. You're the toast. But whispers say you're shopping a sequel, Harrington Dirt. Part 2. I sip my seltzer. Smile scalpel-edged. Whispers are cheap.
Harlan.
Facts? Priceless. He leaned in, cologne cloying. Facts like Alex's appeal? New evidence your waivers weren't forged. Kessler recanted, says you begged for the change. Old emails. Therapy notes. Makes you complicit. Complicit. The word slithered, awakening dormant dread. I'd buried the waivers as sleight of hand. But what if? Nightmares evolved, not just crashes. But please, make me new. Make me forget. Mom's overdose fresh. Debts crushing. A life I'd fled into that internship like a lifeline. Only to choke. I ghosted Voss. But sleep evaded. Dawn found me at Kessler's old clinic, abandoned husk in East Atlanta. Chain link rattling in wind. Forensics had stripped it. But ghosts lingered, faded murals of smiling brains. A rusted gurney in the weeds. I picked the lock, skills from trailer park youth and rifled remnants, dusty files. A hard drive humming faint.
Jackpot. My chart.
Not redacted. Pages chronicled patient DH, pre-op psych eval. Scrawled in my hand, suicidal ideation high. Request total reset. Consent to experimental protocol. Below, a note. Harrington influence minimal. Patient-initiated contact via crisis line. Initiated. The floor tilted. I called them, desperate. Drowning in grief, Mom's 6 months cold. Eviction looming. I dialed a Harrington-funded hotline. Spilling guts. They didn't just take, I offered. Reeling, I drove to the prison Evelyn's, a low-slung fortress in Baldwin County. Magnolia's mocking barbed wire. Visiting hours, her in orange jumpsuit. Hair limp, eyes hollowed to pits. Delia, she rasped. No fight left. Come to gloat. Truth, I said, sliding the photocopy across scarred table. Did I ask for it? She scanned, lips twitching amusement, pity, half-truths. Darling. You called. Yes, babbling about ending it all. We could have let you. But Alex. He saw potential. A lost lamb for our fold. The waivers?
Real.
The rest? Embellished for the jury. You weren't a victim. You were a volunteer. Volunteer. Rage boiled, but laced with nausea. And the cover-up? The bribes? Business. She shrugged. Magnolia wilted. You got a life. We got peace. Win-win. Till your little tantrum. Tantrum. The powder room shove replayed, my push.
Her fall.
Intent? Or instinct? I didn't mean to hurt you. Her laugh cracked. Hurt? You destroyed us. Alex rots in Gen Pop. Senator's ghost haunts headlines.
But you?
You're free. Cursed. Maybe. But free.
Cursed.
The word echoed as guards led her away. Her silhouette shrinking to nothing. Back home, now aloft in Inman Park. Exposed brick my armor. I confronted the mirror. Freckles full now. Gap tooth returning via ortho tweaks. The hybrid stared back. Neither ghost nor bride. Complicit. The revelation fractured. Avenger unmasked as architect of her own chains. Alex's appeal hearing was public circus. Streamed live from Macon. I watched from a dive bar. Nursing IPA amid hecklers. New counsel, slicker than Voss, unveiled the bombshell. My suicide note, email to the hotline. Timestamped hours pre-crash.
Can't go on.
Need out, total out. The judge leaned in. Brow furrowed. Ramirez countered. Coercion.
Grooming.
But the damage seeped. Public pivot. Complicit crusader trending vicious. Late night slots dissected. Did the ghost bride haunt herself? Pundits opined. My DMs flooded. Hero to harpy overnight. Alex took the stand again. Leaner. Haunted. She was broken. Your honor. I fixed her. Gave her love. Purpose. If that's a crime, lock me up. But don't paint me the monster. The judge knew. A black woman with steel in her gaze grilled. Mr. Harrington, consent under duress isn't consent. But MS. Hart's notes suggest agency. Appeals court will decide. Bail granted. Alex walked, flashing that dimple to cameras. Our eyes met through the screen, his imploring mine.
Ice.
He found me that night. At the loft, key I'd never reclaimed. A ghost's folly. Buzzer silent. He slipped in like smoke.
Delia.
Out. But I didn't move. Rooted. I read the book. Every word. You hated me, us, but the love. It was real. Real as the drugs? I whirled. Tears hot. Asked for help. Alex. Not erasure. You twisted it. He stepped closer. Hands raised. I know.
God.
I know. But seeing you now whole, you're more you than ever. Let me make it right.
Right.
The air crackled. Old chemistry sparking despite the chasm. His touch on my arm, gentle. Electric, unraveled threads. We crashed together. Fury and forgiveness blurring in sheets tangled with regret. Dawn found us spent. His head on my chest. Whispers of sorry like litanies. But morning brought clarity's knife. This changes nothing, I said, dressing. You're free on technicalities. I'm not. He dressed too.
Defeated.
Then what? War forever. Peace. I lied. On my terms. He left with a ghost of a kiss. I bolted the door, but the fracture lingered, complicity a mirror cracking under weight. The appeal dragged. Months of briefs and bad dreams. I channeled it. Op-eds on gray area consent. Panels debating victim volatility. Controversy fueled. Book sales spiked. Invites poured. But isolation crept. Marty distanced. You're a brand now.
Kid.
Brands don't bleed. Bleed I did.
Privately.
Therapy unearthed more. The crash wasn't just hit run. I'd swerved, chasing a phantom call from Mom's old flip phone. A cruel prank? Or subconscious sabotage? Layers peeled, revealing not just victim, but vortex, drawing destruction like moth to flame. Evelyn's stroke hit mid-appeal, parole denied. Irony's just. Alex visited her bedside. I got the call from hospice.
She wants you, the nurse said.
I went, stealing for venom. But Evelyn lay frail, tube snaking, eyes milky.
Delia. End it.
End what? The lie. She gripped my hand, bones brittle. You didn't volunteer. I forged the notes after. To absolve us. Alex never knew. Forgive. An old monster. Monster. Mirror to my own. No, I whispered. But understanding? Maybe. She slipped away at dusk. Legacy ash. Alex's appeal?
Denied.
Resentenced 5 more years. He wrote, Truth sets free.
Thank you. Free.
The word tasted different now, hollow. But mine.
2 years on.
The dust settled into a strange sediment. Alex in appeals limbo. Writing letters I burned unread. My face on podcasts. The woman who rewrote herself, dissecting ethics over egg creams. I'd moved to Savannah, cobblestones and salt air a balm to Atlanta's asphalt scars, running a nonprofit from a shotgun house. Heartwatch. Exposing corporate hauntings. Ghosting in boardrooms and bedrooms. Marty visited quarterly, toting barbecue and brutal truths. You're healing,
Kid.
but scars itch. Itch they did. Especially nights when the marsh whispered doubts. Complicity's ghost. I'd internalized their script. Played the part till the curtain call. But agency? That was the reclamation, choosing to shatter. To rebuild. The final twist slithered in autumn. Humid as original sin. A package arrived, no return. Brown paper crisp. Inside, a USB. Labeled regressions. And a note. Evelyn's looping hand. Pen pre-stroke? The truth you deserve. Burn after. Trembling. I plugged in. Videos grainy clinic feeds. 2017 timestamp. Me, Delia. Pre-crash, strapped to the gurney. Not comatose yet. Awake. Wild-eyed. Raving. Fix me. Make it stop, the voices. The failure. I can't be her anymore. Her, mom's echo. The cycle.
Then.
Post-op. Demi stirring. Blank slate. Alex at bedside. His hand in mine. Welcome back, he murmurs. But the cam catches my whisper. Faint. Who?
Deeper files. Audio logs.
Kessler. Patient exhibits partial retention. Imprint 2AH. At 92%. But core engrams persist. Subconscious sabotage likely. Sabotage. The crash. I'd accelerated into the merge. Phone to ear. Chasing ghosts. Self-fulfilling prophecy. The kicker. An email chain. Alex to Evelyn. Post-procedure. She's perfect.
Mom.
But what if she remembers? What if she hates me? Reply. Love conquers. Darling. Or we adjust deeper dive. If needed. Adjust. The word ignited old fire. They'd plan contingencies, more drugs. More lies if I stirred. But I had. And the inferno followed. I didn't burn it. Marty got copies. Ramirez. 2 new leads for Alex's case. Tampering redux. But personally, it flipped the script. Not just victim or villain, but vanguard. I'd courted the change. Yes, desperation's gamble, but they weaponized it. My revenge? Not destruction, but exposure. The book's sequel. Echoes. Consent in the shadows. Dropping bombs on gray ethics. Sparking Senate hearings on neural coercion. Alex's trial reopened. Perjury on the waivers. Evelyn's forgery unearthed. He took a plea. 8 years total. Out in 4 with good behavior. His last letter. I read. You were right to burn the illusions. If there's an us after. No signature. Just ellipsis.
After.
The word hung. Tempting. I visited once. Through plexi. His face lined but lit.
Delia. Alex.
Regret. Layers. I traced the glass. You. Every day.
Pause.
Love you still. Love's a procedure too. We both got recoded. He nodded. Tears tracking. Write the ending better. I did or tried. Heartwatch boomed. Me at helm. Freckled. Gap-toothed. Unapologetic. Controversy clung. Debates on deserved erasure. My TED Talk going viral. I was ghosted. But ghosts haunt back. Applause thundered. Trolls howled. Polarizing. Yes, did I earn the fall? Or defy it? Not twisted final at Evelyn's grave. Marble slab in Oakland Cemetery. Moss creeping like judgment. I laid no flowers. Just spoke to wind. You made a monster. But I chose the mirror. Savannah dusk painted gold. I walked home. Salt breeze cleansing. No tidy bow, revenge's a mosaic. Cracks gold-veined. Happy?
No.
Whole? Closer. The reader? Decide. Villainy in vulnerability. Or triumph in the tear. As for me, Delia Demi hybrid. I pen this not for absolution, but ignition. Burn your illusions. Haunt back.